In the time we've spent together, we've learned all about equity mutual funds and the many ways in which it can help create long-term wealth. But why is that despite investing in equity, many investors still don't get adequate returns, even though markets perform very well? Very often, investors, in a bid to earn higher returns quickly, invest all their money in one go. They don't take into account the fact that the time at which they invested could possibly be at a juncture where markets are overvalued. Moreover, when the markets go down, many investors panic and redeem their investments, thereby booking losses. Luckily for you, there are a couple of handy options that we've touched upon earlier that would help us mitigate this problem to a large extent. Systematic investment plans and systematic transfer plans are two ways in which you can make the most of your time in the market by gaining from every market cycle. Let's start by looking at systematic investment plans. Systematic investment plans let you invest a fixed amount of money at a fixed frequency into a fund of your choice. Most people go for monthly plans. When you think SIP, think long-term commitment, because this type of plan needs to be handled with patience and discipline. What's great about SIPs is that they help your investment ride the market's ups and downs over a long-term period by making use of what we call rupee cost averaging. With rupee cost averaging, you purchase a certain number of units for the amount you invest. And when the market goes down, you get to purchase more units at that very amount. This reduces the average cost of the units you would have purchased over time. Let's see how this works. Say Richie starts a monthly SIP of 5,000 rupees in an equity fund. With each installment, he gets units in proportion to the NAV at that point in time. Let's imagine the NAV at the end of each month over the course of 5 months is 10, 12, 10, 8, and then 10 respectively. In the first month, he gets 500 units in hand, then 416 followed by 500 and then 625 and finally 500 again. This would give him a total of 2,541.67 units in hand at the end of 5 months with an average price of 10. The value of his investment would also be 25,416.67 rupees. So even if the NAV had ended up at the same value despite market up and downs over time, Richie would still have made money ending up with 25,416 rupees instead of 25,000 rupees. And that is broadly how rupee cost averaging works. Now, if instead of starting an SIP, let's say Richie had decided to invest a lump sum of 25,000 rupees at an initial NAV of 10 rupees per unit, he would get 2,500 units in hand. Now, because the NAV stays the same after all the ups and downs, the value of his investment wouldn't change either. But will an SIP always be the better way to invest? Let's take a closer look. Let's say the markets are bullish, meaning they're doing well. In this case, you're better off investing in a lump sum because SIPs won't help much when markets are up. Here's an example that shows us exactly why that might be so. Let's say you start a monthly SIP of 10,000 rupees in Jan of 2017 at an NAV of 13.73 rupees. Naturally, you'd be starting with 728.332 units, a figure you arrive at by simply dividing your investment amount 10,000 with your NAV 13.73. Now let's imagine that the markets performed outstandingly well over the course of the year and the NAV kept rising bit by bit every single month, ending up at 19.31 come December end. This would leave you with a total of 7,579.90 units in hand, and your investment would be valued somewhere around 1,46,367 rupees and 85 paise. Now, had that market conditions been the same, and you decided to invest a lump sum of 1,20,000 rupees in Jan instead of investing 10,000 rupees over 12 months, here's what might have happened. The NAV in this case would also have been 13.73, which would give you 8,739.99 units in hand if you divide your investment amount 1,20,000 with your NAV 13.73. This would mean that you would end up with 1,68,769 rupees at the end of 12 months, which is considerably higher than the amount you would have got by investing in an SIP month on month. That said, markets rarely have a constant upward swing. In fact, markets tend to be cyclical most of the time. And so, an SIP generally proves to be a useful tool in investing. SIPs, as we saw earlier, come in handy as they take full advantage of bearish markets. With every price fluctuation to the downside, you get more units in hand. And when one full market cycle is completed, meaning when markets come back up again, you tend to benefit from extra units. But remember, staying invested in a bearish market takes a lot of patience and discipline. Some people make the mistake of stopping their SIPs or redeeming their investments because of market downswings, eventually making losses as a result. And on that note, we wrap up our introduction to SIPs. We've just started to see how SIPs can be useful in getting us closer to our wealth creation goals. In the next lesson, we'll be taking a look at the different types of SIP plans. So why wait? Let's get straight into it.